On this episode, Dude and Brett take a look at 3 of the recent Bardstown Bourbon Company's collaboration series. Tune in to hear which ones we taste and what we think on this episode of The Bourbon Hunters. But before we get started, do you like our podcast? Do you like bourbon gear? Visit our website at www.bourbonhunters.com to check out our bourbon shirts and to buy a Bourbon Hunter Kinsey Dram. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on our hunt for great bourbon. Reward yourself and sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. I am Dude Poole, and I'm joined by
Brett Bryan.
And today we are doing Bardstown Bourbon Company, and we've got 3 different, expressions here. We've got, I think they're all kind of collaboration series type things, not exactly necessarily, but I think the one of mine is not necessarily a collaboration, but it doesn't say one way or the other on this page, so I'm not 100% sure. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. All 3 collaboration series. I was hoping they were, but I wasn't sure because the other ones say it.
It doesn't specifically say.
Right. So we're going to do this. We've got the Bardstown Bourbon Company Founders Brewing collaboration series. So we're going to start with that one. Then we're going to go to the West Virginia Great Barrel Company collaboration series, and then we're going to finish, which is actually a rye. Finished in West Virginia, toasted cherry oak or something like that.
I think it's cherry oak, yeah.
And then we're going to finish with a straight bourbon whiskey finished in plantation rum barrels, the collaboration series that is straight bourbon whiskey finished in plantation rum barrels, like I just said. So I thought maybe they were going to say where the barrels came from, but I guess it does not say that. So it just says plantation.
Yeah, I didn't know if that meant that was a company when I first read that. Like plantation rum could be like a distillery I just don't know about.
Could be. That is a good question.
I can ask the Google.
I mean, that's a collaboration. If it's with a company called Plantation Rum, that would make more sense. If that is the case, then that would make a little more sense. So, all right. So I think we do it in the order of the founders, then the rye, then the rum. Because I think the rum's going to be pretty sweet.
Plantation rum is a brand.
All right, there is our answer. Asked and answered.
Googled.
We Googled the shit out of that.
Now, if I remember this the KBS, that's a beer at Founders, Kentucky Breakfast Stout. Because I don't think we said that. We just said it was the Founders collaboration. Or is it just the Breakfast Stout?
It just says KBS Stout Barrels.
Okay, so that's the Kentucky Breakfast Stout is what that is.
Is that what KBS stands for?
And so that's a beer. So Founders has their Breakfast Stout beer, which it's a really good stout. And then they have another iteration of it, which is the Kentucky version, which just means it has a higher proof in alcohol. Which is, I thought...
I'm glad you know that. I don't really drink
I've actually
beer.
been to the brewery a couple times.
Is that in Michigan?
Yep, in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, you're a... Grand Rapids.
Yeah, Grand Rapids is a cool town. I don't mind it.
Yeah. No. I'm sure it's fun.
The only thing I guess I'm kind of confused about with this, so the Kentucky Breakfast Stout is usually aged in an old bourbon barrel. So is it like an old bourbon barrel that they age the beer in,
then they
dump that, and then they age the bourbon back into the barrel?
If I would imagine it has to be, yeah.
Because, I mean...
If it's a KBS...
Yeah, that's how that goes.
I would say it has to be. So save a little bit of that for Tyler whenever he arrives here for our next episode. Actually, 2 episodes from now. All right. So let's talk about this first one, the founders. You already gave a little bit of an intro. But this is basically, I'm not going to give the tasting notes on this one. Actually, all I have is just the stats for this. But this is a Tennessee 10-year-old bourbon. And it's 84% corn, 8% rye, 8% malted barley. And then it is, finished for 15 months in the Founders KBS Stout Barrels. So a 10-year-old Tennessee bourbon finished for 15 months in Founders KBS Stout Barrels.
15 months is a long time. Longer than I expected.
Yeah. I mean, I would say. Well, I think it's 22 months for your next. For
I think
the
it
year one.
is.
I think so.
I remember, so I've had this before. It's been a while, but I remember getting like walnut and chocolate are the two things I feel like I remember out of this.
Sure. I definitely remember the cocoa type of thing. Now this is 110 proof. Now the interesting thing is I don't get much of that on the nose. I do get, I think, some of the cocoa and maybe some orange.
Yeah, I get the cocoa.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and dive into this just because I don't even remember what this tastes like. I just remember, I think, Jason bringing it for our 100th episode, and then I think him saying that something about a lot of orange and chocolate, I think.
I remember liking it.
I do too. I do too, to be fair. But it's been a while, and that was after an evening of drinking. That was our 100th episode.
Yeah.
We drank that, I think, near the end of the day. So I might have just been loose by then.
They're orange zest all day on that.
Did you take a drink?
I did, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the orange
Yeah,
is...
very prominent.
The orange is strong. This one. No, that's good. Ooh, that's got quite a kick, but not an alcohol kick. It's like a flavor kick. That 15 months in the stout barrels, I think that's coming through pretty strong. But it's almost like a chocolate-covered orange.
That breakfast stout is a very like chocolatey kind of beer.
The breakfast stout is very long lingering in the finish. Like I'm getting almost like a beer finish in my chest.
Oh, really? Let me
Yeah.
try again here.
Yeah, that was nice. And I'm not much of a beer guy. I do enjoy some beers, but I'm more of a piss beer guy. Like I like a nice cold light beer after a hot day of, like playing softball or outside doing something like playing volleyball outside or something. Where you build up a nice little sweat and you basically need something a little more than water.
I like snobby craft beers.
I know you do. I know you do. And I'll find some every so often that I enjoy, but if they're too hoppy, I'm just not a fan of that. I don't like hoppiness.
It's definitely an acquired taste, the hoppiness.
Yeah. Did you get a little something more on the second
I got more
drink?
chocolate on it the second time. And almost like a chocolate like drink, not so much like eating cocoa. So it was kind of like creamy chocolate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess, and maybe
I
I'm
do.
thinking like a beer, like the head on a beer that's like a creamy,
Right,
chocolatey.
yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. To me, I'm thinking, and I could be way off because, again, I'm not a beer guy. But what's the when you do a black and tan? What's the tan?
Usually Bass or Harp, I think, is what they use.
That's kind of like the creaminess type of.
Dude, you just took me back like 20 years to college when I used to. God, I'm that old. I used to drink black and tans all the fucking time in college. I love that, and I forget how I found out about it. But someone's like, "Oh, you got to get a black and tan," and I was like, "What?" And I saw them like pour the two beers on top of each other, and I was kind of like, "Am I in high school?"
But that's kind of what it reminds me of a little bit, I guess, maybe. But yeah, that's my lack of experience with beers. But to me, that's what it takes.
Oh
me back
man, now I want a black and tan.
You're welcome. This is good though. I could honestly drink this all night. This is like something that you could. I wasn't
Well, you
sure
can't
if this was
bottle, but
well, right, it's almost gone. I almost thought of this more of a gimmicky type of thing, and because it was at the end of the night, and we had so many different things, and then this kind of finished it off, and almost came off like a dessert bourbon, and it still kind of does.
well, if you think about it, so it was aged 10 years, right? And then it's aged another 15 months. So this is, essentially an 11-year-old bourbon if you want to,
I mean, it is, and that 15 months in the it's definitely coming.
Oh, yeah.
through. If this is a 10-year Tennessee bourbon, I assume it's some Dickel.
I figure it's Dickel,
You know what I mean? It may not be, but I assume it is. And so for a Dickel, and now granted, higher proof Dickels generally sit well with me versus the lower proof Dickels are a little too medicinal for me. I'm not a big fan of them.
Some of the older Dickels I like. I don't like a lot of the
older
younger,
and higher proof. Older and higher proof usually makes a big difference for me. It definitely changes the taste profile extremely, in my opinion. So this being 110 proof, but also being aged in that style. Like any of that medicinal property that might have been there, this is rounding out the edges. You know what I mean? Or smoothing out the edges, whatever the phrase is.
And I mean, this might be Bardstown wheelhouse doing these like finish type bourbons, or
well, they're really good at the blending. They're really good at these types of things. So I mean, I remember this was a hard to find bottle. And the only reason we got it was because we got it from the actual distillery, and the CEO gave it to Jason, who gave it to us. So, I mean, if otherwise, I don't think I would have gotten it.
I haven't seen it anywhere.
Because it released the next week. We were there on like a Wednesday, and he's like, oh, it's too bad it's not next Wednesday. We're releasing this next Wednesday. And he's like, oh, wait, you know what? I think I have a bottle of this out in my office. So he goes and grabs it and then lets us drink it from there and then just gives it to us.
Would that be fun to schmooze people like that, to have his job and be like...
I tell you what, man, Jason, every time we go anywhere, it's like we're walking around with a freaking living...
It's hilarious.
And when we were on our Bardstown, our trip,
people were like, "Can I take a picture with you?" And I'm like,
"Yeah,
what?"
It was so funny, so funny. I mean, like it was cool. It's good for him. Like,
absolutely.
He's made it. Like in that regard, he's made it. He may not be Fred Minnick level, but he's up there pretty damn high.
No, I think that's awesome.
He's pretty close to it, I would think. And he's probably just not as recognizable. I mean, Fred Minnick's on like national television shows and stuff like that.
And he's doing like tastings with like Peyton Manning and shit like that.
Right. I mean, I'm sure Jason could probably pull some of that off. Maybe not as high tier guys right away, but I bet he could pull that off if that's what he was wanting to do. But I think he enjoys just hanging out in that bourbon community.
I mean, I think he enjoys hanging out with us when we come over.
I mean, who doesn't enjoy hanging out with us?
We're probably the highlight of his career, so...
I mean, at least a blip on the radar. Anyway.
I hope he hears that.
he's going to. And he's going to talk about it when we do our 150th next week. So
I hope he gets that New Yorker accent where he gets all worked up.
Fuck. So what do you rate this? Like out of 5, if you had to rate it all together?
That's high.
I think so too. I think it's pretty solid. And for me, that's surprising just because when I heard what Founders was, when I saw Founders, I had no idea what that meant. And then you guys started talking about the KBS and all that, and I was like, oh, okay. But then it kind of didn't sound like anything I wanted. But now that I've had it, and you know what this has actually done for me? This has made me appreciate that Woodford Reserve 5 malt stouted whiskey a lot more.
I love that 5 malt whiskey.
I didn't when I first had it. And Jason even kind of talked me into thinking it tasted like Play-Doh.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
Or crayons, Play-Doh, kind of the same thing, like a waxy type of. But then after it sat open for a minute, it actually opened up and felt.
I like that bottle.
A lot better.
I do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig into that again soon. But I've enjoyed it a lot more now that I've let it open up a little bit.
But they are similar. I agree.
Well, I mean, they're stout.
Yeah.
There's a stout portion to it somehow. I'm sure that does something that stouty.
Oh, so scientific.
Yes, technical terms. I'm all about them. All right, so I would say probably a 4 for me as well. This is good. And to be fair, I haven't had a lot from Bardstown Bourbon Company that I haven't enjoyed.
Agree.
I don't know that I've had anything that I've disliked, to be fair. I mainly hang around their Discovery series and their collaboration series. I haven't done much on their Fusion stuff. And I haven't had their Origin stuff yet, which just came out. I'm almost thinking about taking a trip down there if they sell it day to day in the distillery. I don't even know. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with that.
I don't think I've had their rye before.
I don't know that they've had a rye before.
Their first rye?
I don't know.
I don't know. I know I've never had it.
I don't follow them that much to know their history. I know that most of the stuff they had done up until their Origin series was not their own distillate.
Yeah.
They were taking and blending and doing stuff like that. So that's a big, thing that I think is with the Origin series is now that new change. It's that handoff to, to the new, their distillate type of stuff. And I think it's like 4 and 5 years or something like that. And I'm speaking without knowing anything about this.
I'm reading the side. I don't know if you want to introduce that next before I get too deep into this.
I will, yeah. So the next one that we're going to do is the West Virginia Grape Barrel Company, and basically it's a blended rye whiskey finished in infrared toasted cherry oak barrels. So, and it says it's their first cooperage collaboration. And it celebrates the forward-thinking West Virginia Grape Barrel Company. Our synergy in modern production led to a custom blend aged in cherry wood barrels, toasted with infrared technology. This truly unique flavor exemplifies the potential of 2 brands at the forefront of innovation. I'm not going to tell the tasting notes, but the origin of the bourbon or rye, I should say, is Indiana. It says 95% rye, 5% malted barley, which makes me think
MGP. So this says 6-year-old Indiana. Does yours say that?
Yeah, 6 years.
Okay, I didn't know if you said that. Sorry.
Then no, I don't know if I did or not. And then the other part of it is a 100% corn mash bill at 12 years out of Ontario.
Okay, that says more than this. This just says 12-year-old Canadian whiskey.
Well,
Well, Ontario, though, but I mean, it's a little more specific than just Canada.
Ontario is Canada.
Providence versus the whole country.
Right. A little more specific.
My French is going well, by the way.
Does it say what the percentage is?
It doesn't say shit about percentages.
Or what are you using, Babbel, or are you using
Duolingo right now?
You're trying
Yeah, because I'm going to go
How do you
to
like
Quebec City.
Yeah, but how do you like Duolingo?
I like it. Yeah, I have a...
That's what I use for a minute, and it's free.
Yeah,
right?
there's advertisements, but I have a pop-up blocker, so it doesn't... It stops them all.
Now you can pay for it to get rid of the advertisements, right? If you didn't have
think
a
so,
pop-up
yeah.
blocker. Okay.
Salut. Ça va?
Salut. Ça va? Ah, bien. Et tu?
Ça va. See, I'm getting there, man.
Yeah.
Getting there.
So if you don't know the person, how do you...
Bonjour.
Comment allez-vous? Well, comment allez-vous?
Oh, I don't know if I know that yet.
How are you doing?
And then you would be like, ça va?
And then for someone you know, comment vas-tu?
Comment vas-tu? Yeah, I'll get there. I'll make an appointment with your mom. That wasn't like a mom joke. She was a French teacher.
Ew.
For anyone listening.
Have you ever seen the movie where it's the French teacher, where they go overseas and then it ends up like being a spy movie?
Yes.
But the French teacher.
She's like a badass, right?
Yeah. She ends up being a badass. She wasn't.
God, that's been a long time since I've seen that.
I don't remember what that was called. That's what's bugging me.
I feel like, God, there's that 80s, one very famous like 80s male actor that I can't think of. Corey Feldman, is he in it?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
I don't know what I'm thinking of.
He's in a lot of stuff at that time, so you're not wrong thinking it could be him. You have a pretty high percentage.
I feel like I remember
chance
her
of
wearing
being
like a
correct.
red dress or something.
You might be mixing up. That and the Gene Wilder movie, whereas so this is If Looks Could Kill, and it's a 1991 comedy spy adventure. It follows the exploits of 18-year-old slacker Michael Corbin, who is Richard Grieco, which not super famous, but there are other people in it that were famous. I'm trying to remember who all was in it. But basically, the premise is I think that he's basically mixed up for someone else. He's mistaken for like an agent, and then people are trying to kill him throughout the movie. And then Linda Hunt, who is I think also connected to The Incredibles.
Okay.
She's an older woman that you would know. I think she was also in.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Spy Who Shagged Me.
She's
Austin
in all
Powers movies. But I think she's pretty popular. She's short and has that nerdy kind of look. She's in Kindergarten Cop.
God, she is in that.
Yeah. She's in a lot of stuff. But anyway, the main girl, Gabrielle Anwar, who I used to have the biggest fucking crush on, and she was in Burn Notice, which I was like, yes, she was in Burn Notice, but she was also in Scent of a Woman. She was in Three Musketeers, which wasn't what did it for me so much. The one that did it for me, if I remember correctly, was the Michael J. Fox movie where he's trying to become he's a bellhop, not a bellhop, he's a concierge, and he's trying to save up enough money to open up his own hotel. It's like For Love or Money or something like that. And I love that movie. It was just kind of one of those, yeah, that's what it is, For Love or Money. So it's a Michael J. Fox movie, and it was based out in, what year was that? 1993. And that was kind of at the height of his success.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's got Anthony Higgins, who I think looks a lot like, who plays Wolverine?
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, he looks a lot like Hugh Jackman. So Anthony Higgins looks a lot like Hugh Jackman, in my opinion.
Oh my, especially there.
Yeah, and in the movie he does too. But so that was one of the people in it. There's so many people in that movie, like very, very, very famous people. Udo Kier is in it, and he's a very famous guy that was in a lot of things. But he's in the Hunters series. If you ever watched that on Prime. Where they're basically hunting Nazis that are hiding away in the United States in different places. That's one of them. I think he's also in... he might be in one of the Superman movies. I can't remember for sure. But anyway, we have really segued here.
That's all good.
All right, so we've got pour out some money. Pour out some
money.
Well, I mean, it technically is pouring out some money. Pour out some bourbon here, and let's see.
You mean
what,
some rye?
Well, I guess in this case it's just whiskey, right?
Yeah.
So
You want a little more than that? I just tried to
does
do
it
it
say
quick.
what?
Because
No,
it's
good.
when bottles
Does it
are
say
full.
what the percentage is
No.
of the Ontario whiskey versus the rye?
It says nothing in here or on the side of
because it's
this.
still considered a rye on the right.
Blended rye whiskey.
Right. So so for part of it to be corn 100%, it must be a small percentage of that, or at least less than 50% anyway, because the other one's 95.5. All right, let's go ahead and nose this. This definitely has a rye nose to me.
You get dill?
I get some dill, yeah, which means I'm probably not going to like this. We'll see. Hopefully the nose is different than the flavor.
Oh, what is that?
And what's funny is I love dill pickles, and I just don't like it in my freaking in my bourbon, man, or my whiskey.
Man.
Have you ever seen the movie Suspiria? It's a horror movie from 1977. It's from Asia, not Asia D'Argento, Dario, her dad, Dario D'Argento.
Yeah.
It's a horror movie. It's an Italian horror movie back in the day. It's 1977. That guy that I was just talking about is in that movie, and you know him. I mean, everyone knows this guy.
Oh, yeah, Alec Baldwin?
No, that's not Alec
What?
Baldwin. That is Udo Kier.
Oh, that looked like Alec Baldwin back here.
No.
I don't know why. Okay. The angle on that looked just like Alec Baldwin. I don't know why.
Does it have him holding a gun up to some... Sorry, bad. That's poor taste.
I mean,
Anyway.
if the shoe fits.
If the holster...
Right, if the bullet loads.
All right, here we go. Knows that.
Dill.
Dill. Definitely dill.
And the
on
more I
nose.
smell it, the more dill I get.
Yeah. Get a little bit of mint, maybe.
It's like dill on a cracker, like a, you know what I mean, like a dill chip, as opposed to a pickle.
I hope that this changes on the taste. Let's go ahead and dive into it.
That's good viscosity.
Oh, yeah, the mouthfeel
Yeah.
is outstanding.
Agree.
And I will say, I made a point not to breathe in as I was drinking it, because I didn't want that to throw off. I still get a little dill on the finish.
Not
it's
much,
a rye.
though.
It's a rye spice. It's rye spice on the finish. Let's be fair. It's not truly dill, but right now, like everything rye, overly rye, comes off as dill to me. I am getting the oak.
I like the mouthfeel on this. I do.
There's a nice toasted kind of element to this.
Yeah.
That I'm getting on the finish. It's like it's not really the finish. It's like back of the tongue.
This hit me in the back and the sides of the tongue. Definitely like tongue
this hit my
coating.
entire mouth, yeah.
Tongue coating.
Ooh, a little cherry something.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, but it disappears quickly. Do you get like a tea? Maybe it's the mint.
Now that you say it, I can imagine a tea.
There's something like herbal
Yeah.
or something to me. But all right, it's almost, I hate to say this, it's almost like a refreshing, like, you know when you have water that has like
cucumber and stuff like that?
Yeah, it kind of comes off as like an infused drink to me, where it's like a crisp, refreshing kind of taste to it. I'm actually kind of surprised, and I think that's where the mintiness is maybe giving me that refreshing kind of feeling. But it's not bad.
I like the tongue coating and the tongue feel.
Oh, the tongue feels great.
I just wish it had more flavor.
Well, I think it's got a lot of flavor, but none of the flavors, except for the rye spice, linger for very long.
And maybe that's why it just.
To me, the flavors are there. They're hitting, but they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rye spice is what you're left with. So, like, I get some cherry, I get some oak.
That's a good way. I agree. That's a good way to put that.
I get some mint. I get some, I don't know if I want to call it tea or like infused cucumber water, something. I get something like that. And then it all disappears quickly, but then you're left with that rye spice, which isn't bad, actually.
The mint, 100%. After you said that.
Yeah, this is actually growing on me. This is not bad at all. And the more I drink it, the more I start to get some oak before the finish and after the back of the tongue.
It'll be interesting to see if this opens up any, because it's a brand, just
we
opened it.
We just cracked it. Yeah, so that is a good point too. And this isn't bad. I'm not too upset with this, actually. So,
Yeah, I think it's a good buy.
Yeah. And you mean good B-U-Y, not good B-Y-E.
It's a
right.
good point to make. Now, see, that was a big drink, and a lot of dill came through.
Yeah.
But when I took smaller drinks, it didn't. But like I said, I took that bigger one.
Yeah, I think that one's one of those ones that I think is going to give you a little bit something different every time you dive into it. I think. And after having these first two, I'm actually kind of glad. Yeah, it was pretty tight. I'm actually pretty glad that we're saving this rum finished bourbon, which I don't think I've had a rum finished bourbon before. I think I've only had rum finished rye.
Wasn't the chicken cock finished in rum?
That was a rye.
Oh, was that a rye? Okay.
Yeah.
I know Angel's Envy is a rye.
Yes, it was. Angel's Envy is a rye.
For some reason, I was thinking chicken cock because didn't we do like 3 of them or 2 of them?
The Boss Hog we did.
Yeah, that's a whiskey.
That was they were all ryes finished in
okay.
rum. All the ones we did were ryes finished in rums. So, yes, though, to answer your question.
I need a little palate cleanser here real quick.
Yeah, I do too, actually. I didn't bring water down. I'm a dumbass. Celsius it is.
Here's Tyler's old water. Would you rather have that?
Are you... Yeah, I mean, I might have to. I'll just have him bring some down when he comes in. Are you doing anything other than getting pounded by 4 inches tonight?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, we're expecting some snow this evening. That's what I mean by that. So let's introduce this last one. Collaborative series number 3. Numero 3.
Numero 3. I'm going to pour myself a little more. Just because I really like it.
This one you can, one you can.
As I figured I'd give you a little heavier on this one.
A little more gracious. So this is
that was a good pour for you.
Oh, thank you. That's about the same. Almost same as yours. All right, so this one says, savor the latest addition to this innovative series with our Plantation Rum release. 10-year-old Tennessee bourbon again. Finished for 22 months, although the founders was 10 years, right?
Yes.
10-year-old Tennessee bourbon finished for 22 months in plantation rum barrels. We did not give the proof of the last one, the rye.
It is 110 proof.
So both of the first two were 110. What is this one?
It is 104 proof.
Okay. So the first two were 110. This one's 104. This one is 100% Tennessee bourbon, 10 years old, 84% corn, 8% rye, 8% malted barley, finished for 22 months in plantation rum barrels, which we have now determined
An
is
actual rum company. Yep.
So let's go ahead and
nose it.
the shit out of this thing. I'm excited about this one. This is the one that I was most excited about tonight. Mainly because I hadn't had it, and for 2, it's a bourbon finished in rum, which I've.
It's not very often I get to contribute and bring something, so it was fun for me.
Oh yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah.
The
nose
doesn't jump out a ton at me.
Oh, it does.
Does
to
it?
Me. I'm picking up the sugar cane. I feel like in my nose.
I may have burnt my nose out. I know it's not too high proof, but I think I put my nose in too far. Is what I mean.
You know what it is? I almost get. I hate to say this, totally surprising to me, but I almost get like a Play-Doh crayon type of smell. But I get some rum, like lingering, not rum, but like sugarcane type of smell to it. Yeah, holy cow. You know what I think it is? I think it's actually the medicinal Tennessee whiskey that I'm getting out of it, the Tennessee bourbon.
We didn't rate the last one either before you drink this.
Oh, yeah, let's rate it.
I'm going to say I go at 3.5.
I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to say 3.7, just because I enjoyed it, and whenever I find a rye that I enjoy, it surprises me a little, and I feel like I need to give it a little more.
I enjoyed it. I don't want to discredit it. Maybe I go 3.6 then, but you know what I mean?
You don't have to let me sway you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that for me, whenever I find a rye that's better than I expect, I always want to give it some props. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Because generally speaking to me, ryes I could usually take or leave.
Oh man, what was that? I just don't get any of the like oak or leather that I would think I would get from a 10-year.
Yeah, and it's, what did you say, 104 proof? Damn, I'll tell you
Isn't
what.
that good?
The taste of that is so much better than the nose.
There's like some butterscotch in there.
And I wonder if the sugary rum is muting the nose
Maybe.
a little bit.
And that's like a clean finish. Like
Oh, it's just so
there's
good.
there's not an ounce. I know it's lower proof, but there's not an ounce of burn anywhere.
Well, here's what I normally get when I taste a bourbon. Well, not bourbon because I've never done that before till now. But like a whiskey finished in rum, I generally get like almost like a candy tongue coated feeling.
Yeah.
You know how like when you've been on the road and you like are eating candy in the car.
Yeah, and you haven't brushed your teeth and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get that candy tongue. A lot of times that's what I get when I finish not a bourbon. When I get a finished rum whiskey, that's a lot of times the feeling I get after the fact. And I'm not getting that here at all. So that's kind of neat that I'm not, having that type of sensation. Like you said, it's a clean type of finish. The nose does not match.
No.
The carpet does not match the drapes. But
They're hardwood floors.
well, the finish is definitely hardwood floors. Very clean. Very it
Very
doesn't linger.
smooth.
I will say this. I don't know that, like, for example, like Jason, I don't know that he would enjoy this because it doesn't have a huge finish.
Right.
But I also don't say that it just drops off either. It's almost just like a constant all the way through.
I personally like it.
Yeah, I think it's really good. This is probably my favorite one so far. The Founders is really close to
I
this,
agree.
though.
They're kind of neck and neck for me.
Yeah. There's something about that chocolatey orangey kind of taste. This is pure just bourbon with a rum finish. Like there's really no like burst of flavor like you get out of the Founders, but the flavor you do get is what I really enjoy. It's straight up bourbon, a nice sweet finish. And that's kind of what you expect, I think, from a rum finish, right?
I would think, nice, sweet, like, because that's rum, right? I think of rum as being, like, sugary candy, smooth.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to use that word.
Smooth. You said smooth. I mean, honestly, all three of these were really good. I was really surprised that I liked the rye one as much as I did.
Oh, some more chocolate came through on that drink.
I'm gonna have to go back to it in a second, but
That's weird. Like a chocolatey butterscotch, like some kind of like an ice cream.
well, it's not weird. It's
Yeah.
that's all sugary
Yeah.
type of.
If you think like of a butterscotch ice cream with like some chocolate in it,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I just got.
Interesting.
Or
Very
toffee is probably a
interesting.
better word than butterscotch.
Yeah, maybe. So, just an update. I think I talked about my house, right? A couple episodes
I think
ago.
so.
The water burst on Christmas Eve.
Done busted.
Done busted. And so the good news is the plumbing company that I had come in, they signed off, said it was probably a
Negligence.
frozen line.
Oh, what? No.
Negligence. Probably a frozen line that burst. I've been dealing with my personal insurance company. They've been, pretty responsive for the most part. They had an inspector come out after I got a quote from my contractor. The quote from my contractor was pretty high. Yeah. I was really surprised at how high it was.
It was as high as Snoop Dogg.
Fair enough. Good one.
That's
I
all
like
I
that.
can think of.
No, that's good. That's good. So then, but here I live in a condo, and the condo has an HOA insurance basically, and so it's the primary insurance on this place, but it has a $5,000 deductible. So you're basically, I wouldn't say required, but I guess it would be good in your best interest to get personal insurance.
Well, yeah, I would
to cover that gap of the $5,000 deductible, and plus also to have personal, property insurance because the HOA doesn't cover
Like
personal
internal,
property. It just covers
the structure,
covers the bones, basically the structure and stuff like that. So up to $5,000 is what my insurance company is covering outside of personal claims. So like any damage to like shelves or rugs or whatever, and so they sent me that check. That's all good to go. Now I'm just waiting on the HOA insurance to either agree or disagree with the inspector / contractor quote. But the problem is I don't know what the inspector from my personal insurance has passed on. Like I get no report on what he agrees or disagrees with on the quote
you should
from
be
my
in the
contractor.
loop.
I'm sure if I ask for that, I could probably get it. And then I could start to dispute and say, no. What are you talking about? This, that, and the other. Same thing happened with my car when Trina got sideswiped on a country road. That's not a sexual thing. That was just a car accident. And it was like a month after we had paid off our Traverse. She got sideswiped, and it totaled the car. Like, it spun it around. It bent all the axles. All of the things came out.
Airbags?
Those words.
When airbags come out, your car's freaking like...
For the most part, you can pretty much total.
Yeah.
like if all of them come out, especially.
Those are so expensive.
So all the airbags came out. The car spun around. The axle bent because it ended up spinning into a bank and like an embankment. And like it bent the tire underneath the car. Looked like the DeLorean was about to fly away.
Back to the Future 3. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
2 as
Is
well.
it in 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right.
But that was, a month after we had paid the car off. I had just received the title like 2 weeks earlier. And so they tried to do a comp, and this was a tricked out Traverse, if there's such a thing. It had the step up. What are those things called on the sides to get into the car?
Like the side step? Like I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, whatever those are called. Had those. It had a
Running
DVD
board,
player.
whatever.
Had a sunroof. It had like all this stuff. It had 3 rows of seating. And then they go and, this is like, it's like a $50,000 car, basically. And they go and compare it. You know how they do comps?
Oh, my God, yes.
They compared it to a Honda CRV. Or no, what's the SUV version of
Then that's a CRV. You're thinking of CRX from the 80s is what you're thinking of.
CRV. So they compared it to a Honda CRV. I was like, whoa.
Right.
I was like, no. It's not a $27,000.
That's like a
car.
compact SUV.
Right. And it doesn't even have, that doesn't even seat 7.
Right, and it's like a budget comp.
Seats like 5. And not to knock the Honda, because Honda makes some nice cars, but that's not a comp. And so, I had to deal with that. And then luckily I had an insurance friend who was giving me advice and saying, don't just take what they offer, dispute it, because most likely they're going to come at you with some of the low comps. And so I had to go back and argue. And as soon as I started using terminology that my insurance friend gave me, they immediately were like, okay, this guy may know what he's talking about. We're just going to, So they ended up giving us the correct quote, which the Kelley Blue Book at that point of a paid off Traverse was still like $24,000 or something. So they gave us $24,000. And
so you bought then another Traverse?
So then we put that down on a new Traverse.
Okay, that's why I was confused. I was like, but you have a Traverse now.
Yeah, so we took that. She loved her Traverse. Now, we had some initial problems with it. It came with a sticky brake pad.
Yeah, that's annoying.
And so, while we were driving, if you were, going up a hill, then down a hill or whatever, and you hit the brakes and then hit the gas, it had this thing because the brake was sticking. So when you went from brake to gas, it thought you were 2 foot driving. And so it would go into this weird mode, and it would start shaking and then shut down, and you'd have to pull off to the side of the road. So we tried to go to the outer.
Drives.
Oh, my dad does too, and I can't fucking.
It must be
stand
like an older generational thing.
I think it's just a dumb thing. So no offense.
No,
to
it's
dad, but my dad does.
Yeah,
too,
my dad. It's weird to me.
No, but he does. He doesn't drive anymore.
I'm like, how do you drive a standard?
My dad's not allowed to.
Oh, really?
Well, I think that's wise. I think they grew up growing driving stick, and so I think they need to have that left foot.
I did for the longest time. My first 3 vehicles were manuals.
Mine were too. I had a Toyota Corolla. We called it the brown turd because that thing was just like
turd
a little.
brown?
It was before the Corollas became a nice car. It was just this little cheapo thing, and then we had a Plymouth Horizon. It was also a. That's what I learned to drive stick on. So I guess I only had 2 of them, but anyway. So we got the new car, and that was a huge down payment. It basically cut the price of the car in half, and then so that cut our payments down, which was nice. So I went high level. They had a new level at that time called Premier. So it's it was above LTZ or whatever. They had Premier, and so we did a Premier, which was the black bow tie,
Oh yeah.
Chevys. So we've got the black bow tie. But no, that was a nice. It was a nice car. We've got that, and that's held up pretty well so far. It's paid off now, and then that was like 6 years ago, something like that.
Damn.
Yeah. That was crazy. And it was weird. I was like a month after we paid it off. I was so
I'd be
mad.
pissed off too.
I know, because we were going to run it into the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my plan for every car,
Right.
is to pay it off and live on it for 5 years, without, put that money away.
That's just, cars are the worst investment you can ever make, so that's a smart thing to do. Someone making food, or did you fart?
Like pasta, right? Or something.
Something.
Like
Is
burnt
Trina cooking? Is
pasta?
she here?
No, it's got to be
Oh.
brown. She's
I thought she
working on it.
was.
Yeah. Oh, that's French. That's garlic toast.
Okay.
It's garlic bread, right?
I think it'd be garlic bread.
It's fucking garlic bread. Brian,
Bring me some garlic bread, dickhead.
throwing off our fucking noses. Asshole.
Oh, now I really
That's
smell
garlic-
it. Now I
that's
really
garlic
smell
bread.
it.
That's
Yeah.
big time garlic bread.
That's hilarious.
He's like, whoa, who's cooking down here and not inviting me up to eat some scraps?
He is. He's perked up. Yeah.
He is perked up.
What do you rate the plantation rum finished? There he is. Very nice.
Ooh, he's got a little surprise for us. A little midwinter's night.
Yeah.
Ram. All right, you're going to hear about that 2 weeks from now. All right. I would rate this. Grab yourself a primer. I would rate this probably different, but same as the
Founders. Same. I
Founders.
get another
I'll give
4.
it a 4.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I won't say it's any better, but I won't say it's any worse.
But it's different. It's different, but the same.
Yep.
Oh, it's good. Tyler, you want to kill off this Bardstown Bourbon Company Founders as your primer? Sure. Go get a glass. We don't have any glasses out for you yet. All right. So that is our quick little collaboration series. We haven't hit all the collaboration series. We haven't been able to get them all.
Yeah.
But that's a little threefer, a little threesome.
It was a fun little episode.
So thanks for joining in. We're going to jump into another episode, but join us next week for our 150th episode. We're going to have a lot of the people that have been on our show before come back. We're going to do it from Middle West Spirits Service Bar, little restaurant, and we're going to have some fun. So join in next week. Listen to our 150th episode. Maybe we'll do a giveaway. What do you think? I don't even know that I have anything to give away at the moment.
We'll give away something, Tyler. So that's fine. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, that's new.
All right. It's not new. It was upstairs.
It's new for this area, Tyler.
Remember the end table that was over there? That's what we traded out for it. So join us next week for our 150th episode, and then join us the week after that for this Midwinter's Nights Dram. Is that this year?
There's no S on Winters. It's a mid.
I know, Midwinter Nights Dram. What's the actor scene or whatever it says?
It's 10, Act 10, Scene 5.
Act 10, Scene 5. Coming up in 2 weeks. Join us then. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for joining in for yet another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. If you like what you hear, please leave us a good rating on Apple, Podbean, Google, or wherever you are listening. It definitely helps us to get great guests on our show. And follow us on Instagram and the Facebooks to keep up to date with what is in our glass. As always, sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy some bourbon.